Welcome, everybody, to a new edition of Shootin' from the Hip. I am your host, your local dungeon dweller. My name is Pete Wall, straight out of the dungeon, and my co-host, Red Rayner. How's it going, Red?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Red Rayner. I'm doing okay, Pete.
Well, I'm going to let you open up the show quickly while I share this link out to everyone, and it looks like the stream's doing well today, so I'm hoping that continues.
That's quite awesome, Pete. Now, today we're going to go ahead. We have things we were supposed to do last week. I have my show to get on with. Like we said before, me and Pete are both going to be doing our own show. He's going to be running SmackDown. We already did the draft. I'm running Raw. Things should be okay. The only thing that I see is going to be a problem is who's going to get the WWE Championship. And what happens at the Royal Rumble, Pete. Yeah. That's what we need to figure out next.
Oh, I agree.
There are some things I think need to be joint decisions. I shouldn't just, since my show comes a week early, I can't just be like, so, Royal Rumble goes to us this year. So that's going to be coming up soon in the show. And then we're also going to talk about wrestling this week. And we're going to let you know which brand we thought won out of the three WWF brands. Excuse me, WWE. There I go again. I don't know if that's ever going to get fixed. What do you think, Pete?
I don't know.
I have that problem where I say WWF still.
Yeah, you know what? I enjoyed it a lot better when it was WWF. The whole entertainment, when they brought in the entertainment factor, it just kind of blew.
Yeah, I mean, even though WWF wasn't WWF since 1985, 1985, Vince McMahon made WWF Entertainment. I don't know if you know about that.
No, actually, I'm just busy sending the link out to everyone. So, sorry if I'm distracted at the moment. I will get into the show. I'm going to let you handle things for like one more minute.
Fine. I'm also tweeting it out. Also going to send a couple messages to people letting them know we're a few minutes late. Sorry about that, folks. We were having some technical difficulties.
But everything seems to be working just fine. I'm done posting my shit out.
Good.
Now I'm kind of covering the back of my snowball microphone here because I don't want it picking up the extra noise from the television, and I could use a headset, but I really hate it. It bothers my ears.
So, we understand, Pete. The only reason we like headsets is because we have hair to stop it from itching our ears. So
now, like we talked about last week, we were going, or not last week, the week before, we're going to go ahead with the fantasy wrestling league that we are doing. We're going to see if we can book our own shows.
You don't want to accept the name. I'm a little upset about that, Pete.
Well, see, Fantasy Wrestling League just works a little bit better for right now. Now, I do have plans. I'm going to be, actually, I'm getting WWE 2K17 shipped over, so it should be here tomorrow or the next day. And what my plans are is to basically do a Fantasy Wrestling League like we're talking about doing, and just adding it to the gameplay and playing it out and do our storylines from there. How does that sound to you?
I have one thing I wanted to throw it at you, but I wanted to talk to you during the show so we can work it out on here.
What's that?
I think I'm going to do my matches throughout the week as well. That way people can watch them in the entirety on the video game. I'm going to let it upload like one match at a time. People can watch it on my channel, and then people can watch your matches on your channel.
Well, yeah, I'm planning on doing my entire show on one upload, and
you're going to do it on upload.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do it live stream, and I'm going to do the promos and all the things that come with the whole booking a show right there on live stream. So it's going to be a little bit harder for me because I don't get to edit out any of the mistakes I make. And
That's the problem with when you play. That's my fault with the wrestling games. Sometimes you get a lot of lag in the games, and you might want to redo the matches over. That's why you know what I mean?
yeah.
That's why I was trying to do one match at a time.
Now, so we did our brand draft a couple of weeks ago. Actually, 3 weeks ago now. We did the brand draft. Do you want to go over yours before you get into what you had planned for today's show?
Well, before that, I wanted to go in. Remember, we had talked about doing the 5 worst moves.
Ah, yes.
Just to,
okay. We should probably do that.
just to open up. Yeah, no. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to go through. We have the worst 5 finishing moves of the WWE, in our opinion, of our lifetimes. So, we're going to start off number 5. Pete, what do you think is the number 5 worst move?
The very worst move, the worst of the worst, in my opinion, number 5 would be the DDT. And I'm not talking about Jake the Snake's DDT or the DDT that was created back in the day where it was actually a usable finisher. I'm talking about today's DDT. Everyone uses a DDT and no one ever gets pinned by it unless you're Bobby Roode in NXT.
Hashtag flip.
What was that?
I said hashtag flip. That's why it's become crap, because now we have flips.
Yep. What's your 5th worst?
Not that I don't like watching flips. It's just the fact for me that, you know, people, The Rock, when he does a DDT, the people flip over rather than laying there silently.
Exactly.
You know? And we're talking since the 90s it's been like that.
So what's your 5th worst?
My 5th worst, I'm going to have to go with the Iron Claw. And I know you said you like it, but I can't stand the Iron Claw.
Okay, see, I go from a...
No, when I say the Iron Claw, I don't mean the mandible claw, you know, in the mouth. I mean the one hand on the head and then the other one on your wrist like this, and you're just shaking them back and forth.
Okay, see, we talked about this yesterday when we were talking about the worst moves, and the reason why I'm not a hater of the claw is because I come from a family where we've got large, strong hands. We've always been a working family. And
I bet your wife likes that.
And I've used the claw on friends, on family members, and on, you know, backyard wrestling type things. So when I apply it, I make sure it hurts. It's not like wrestling where you can see it's not doing a damn thing. But when you actually use the move correctly, you can really hurt the person that you're doing it to. That's why I'm not a hater of it, because to me it is a believable finisher, a submission move, if you will.
All right.
So my fourth on the list, the Warrior Splash.
Yeah.
Now, if you watched any of the Ultimate Warrior's old matches, it was a simple finisher. It was a gorilla press. He drops him and hits the ropes twice and then does the splash on the back of his opponent and then rolls him over and hits the pin. Now, the gorilla press actually looked like a nastier finisher move for him than the actual splash was. Because the way he dropped the people, it looked like it actually hurt them. Now, finishing it off with the splash, on top of that, he didn't really get much height from his splash. He just kind of dove on the guy.
He was a big, you know, muscular guy.
Yep.
You know what they say, Vince McMahon likes big sweaty men. So
But
he was a really big guy, and you know, he didn't really have the agility that Sting did. Even though they started out as a tag team, he stole his Gorilla Press Slam from Sting, who stole it from Gorilla Monsoon. Is that right?
I'm not quite sure about that. I'm not going to say so unless I research it.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know. I've been watching wrestling forever. I've watched wrestling from the 60s and up.
Yeah.
And I used to see Gorilla Monsoon do that big bear hug.
Yes, he was very well known for the bear hug.
Yep. And speaking of the bear hug, that's my number 4. So
number 4 is the bear hug.
It's not that. It's not. What's that?
Number 4 is the bear hug.
for me.
Yeah.
Because have you ever seen the Yeti give a bear a hug? It looks like he's humping Hulk Hogan.
Okay, but the thing is, the Yeti was not really a wrestler, you know? He was brought in because of his size, not that he could actually wrestle.
I know, but the Giant does it too, or
Yeah, but
excuse
see,
me, the show.
you
It's not just him. You have, the bear hug is just you're sitting there facing each other.
it's
okay?
a resting move. It's a resting move.
Exactly. But some people, it used to be used as a finishing
Yeah.
move.
Yeah, but now it's
So
been turned
that's what
into
I
a
mean.
move where they
It's
can
it's
take the
horrible
rest.
as a finishing move.
So, okay, so if we look back at it as an actual finisher back in the day when it was first used, now you had wrestlers where they'd grab the bear hug, their opponent in the bear hug, and they would basically just shake him about. And
Yep.
to me, that looks more believable than what they do now. Now you.
Well, no, we had Hogan. Hogan used to get put in a bear hug by Andre. You'd see it, and he wasn't exactly shaking him. He would just like pull him up a little bit, pull him up a little. And to me, that's like, oh, you're gently holding your lover in your arms.
It does sometimes appear to be that way.
And and then I don't know if you in Memphis, right? I can't think of the guy's name. He wrestled Jerry Lawler and he did the bear hug back in the 80s. I can't think of his name. It's driving me crazy. I had it written down at one point, but I've since scratched. You see all my scratches? I've since scratched things out and I can't read it. Point is, they used to do the bear hug back in the 80s, and I've got a friend who's a bit older than me, and he was in the front row with his grandmother and grandfather, and he could hear them in a bear hug talking about taking their kids to the dentist. So you get a little older, they sit there and talk to each other during a match. When you have wrestling moves like that, it just kind of ruins the show.
Oh, it does. It does. It clearly does.
That's how my friend got smartened up. You know what I mean?
Thinking about or talking about ruining shows and ruining matches, number 3 on my list, the Cobra Strike. Now, we all know who did this move.
The most protected finishing move in WWE history, the Cobra.
Yes, it's never been kicked out of once hit, but it's got to be the worst looking and worst used. It should have been number 1 on my list. Almost should have been number 1. But there's one that peaks. There's 2 that peak this finisher. Now we all know Santino Marella was the person that used the Cobra Strike. We all know how terrible it looked, and we all laughed every time someone fell to this finishing move. What's your thoughts on the Cobra Strike?
Well, I'm going to talk about the Cobra in a little bit, but because it's on my list as well. But my number 3, it's the Mandible Claw.
See, I'm not a hater of that because I've used it on my brothers too. It fucking kills.
Really? You know how to break it? You know how to stop it?
Well, you bite down on the hand. I know that. But
That's what I'm saying. Like it's almost as bad as the abdominal stretch, but the abdominal stretch isn't a finisher that I know of. I don't think anybody's ever used it, but it's just as bad as the abdominal stretch. What do? Move your foot a bit to the left, and then it stops hurting.
Yeah.
You can literally flip them into a hip toss.
Oh, I'm not saying it was the best move, but I'm saying it was better looking than the Cobra Strike.
Well, it is. I don't know. I think the Cobra is the worst, which is why I'll talk about the Cobra in a little bit.
See, when I performed the Mandible Claw, when I was doing the backyard wrestling bit and wrestling with my brothers, like we're a family, we loved wrestling. So we always tried out these moves. When we seen something new, we had to try it out. And
because you don't listen to the "don't try this at home" spiel.
Well, yeah, we ignored that fully. But if applied correctly and without the other person's knowledge of what you're planning on doing, their chances of actually biting down are very minimal, because once you clench it in the proper way, they can't close their mouth at all.
Nope.
They're busy gagging. And believe me, I've done it enough times where my brother's tapped out every single time. So, you know, experience.
So what's your number 4, bud?
My number 2,
I mean number 2. Sorry, I am so dumb
the
right now.
second worst finisher ever in wrestling, the Worm. Scotty Too Hottie, when he thought of this fucking finisher,
who,
he had to be high. Because it was the Worm.
Have you seen Scotty Too Hottie? Have you seen who his tag team partner is and who his father is? Do you expect any less of him?
But I mean, it was the Worm followed by a double chop to his opponent's chest. And then a pinfall. The worst in history. Actually, no, not in history. There is one that reached my number 1. And believe me, if anyone doubts that this move should have ever been counted as a finisher, they are lost in a world of bullshit.
I'm going to go ahead with my number 2 now, if that's all right.
That's fine.
And I'm going to tell you that we have the same number 2. So
the Worm.
I also have the Worm at number 2. It's not. I just. What were they thinking? And it was so over, man.
Oh, I know. It was unbelievable.
So over. And I think I have a feeling of what your number 2 is, or what your number 1 is. But
the number 1 worst finishing move in the history of professional wrestling, the leg drop. The most famous person to be using this as a finisher everyone knows is the Hulkster, Terry Bollea.
Who's that? I'm going to say Yokozuna.
Well, yeah, he did use it, but he didn't use it as a finisher usually.
No, but dear God, how the hell can Yokozuna use a leg drop and Hogan use a leg drop, and Hogan's be worse when Yokozuna is like 600 pounds?
Exactly. Well, see, Yokozuna, I would have believed that could have been used as a finisher. Because that's
Me
like...
too.
That's
Me too, but the thing is, Hogan was doing it. He dropped one... I watched him one time on an episode of Raw drop the leg drop onto Scott Hall, Razor Ramon. Razor Ramon got right back up, clotheslined him.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't no big deal that he got leg dropped. Moving on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't add the leg drop because I thought the leg drop was better than the People's Elbow, and the People's Elbow is my number 6 or number 7. Honestly, the most disappointing move.
The People's Elbow wasn't used as a finisher; it was used as a signature.
He used to finish people with the People's Elbow. He still does.
Oh, really?
Really, that's what he's doing now. That's what he's been doing since like 2002.
Okay. So what's your number 1?
My number 1, Cobra. Absolutely. The worst move ever. I can't believe. And just real quick, it was kicked out of one time by Batista, but he didn't have the sock on, so he didn't have the Cobra on.
So it doesn't
So it was only half
a
a
Cobra.
It was only half a Cobra.
Well, folks, that was our 5 worst finishers in wrestling history. There's probably worse. You never know.
Yeah, we need to know what you guys think, you know? What are your worst finishers?
Actually, we're going to make it easy on the viewers. What is your worst finishing move you've ever seen in the wrestling industry? Be it WWE, Ring of Honor, New Japan, doesn't matter where. Your worst The finisher you hated the worst in wrestling history. That's what we want to know from you.
Well, just honorable mention too, Pete. As moves that are specific to wrestlers, which we weren't doing on the list. You know, the worst I think is Edge's spear.
Really?
Really, because it looks like he's hugging them. It looks more of a finisher for Bayley.
Well, there are many others that use the spear that made it look more believable than Edge, but I wouldn't say Edge is the worst.
Literally everyone.
Actually, have you ever seen Gilbert perform the spear?
Yes, I have, and he puts more emphasis and more power into it than Edge. Bill, you know, I've met Bill Gill a few times. You know, he's an indie wrestler here, like in Maryland.
Yes, I do know that.
So, Bill, you got to stop talking trash about Bill Gill. He's an 18-month light heavyweight champion.
Oh my God.
He is. He held the WWF light heavyweight title longer than anyone else. And you know who he beat it for? Who he beat the championship for? He beat Christian.
Yeah, I know that, but that was basically just to insult the cruiserweights and light heavyweight wrestlers of wrestling. That was all.
Well,
that
my
was used
understanding
for.
was it was to insult Bill Goldberg, and Mrs. McMahon didn't know what to do with it anyway. So,
Okay, so
you know,
moving on, because when it comes to Gilbert, nobody's interested anyway.
Gilbert. I liked the Spartans, though. I'm not gonna lie. When Gilbert came out, I was losing my crap. I was laughing very hard, but you know,
So
I get you moving on. You want to talk about Raw?
yeah, how about we talk about Raw? What did you think of Raw this week?
It was better than last week, but it was still crap.
Yeah, the ratings are still plummeting when it comes to Monday Night Raw.
I don't think they understand they're going to get canceled.
Well, it doesn't make sense to me. They can clearly see the ratings are continuously dropping, and yet they don't want to fix their performance. They don't want to change the storylines. They don't want to make it more interesting. They don't want to make it more wrestling oriented. They want to stay on the same track they're on. And when you look at the ratings continuously drop week after week after week after week, that should be cluing them in.
My biggest problem with the whole thing is this week. Who the hell wants to see Ms. TV?
Exactly.
Nobody.
Any kind of highlight reel or Ms. TV type bullshit, or the Ambrose Asylum, it needs to be nixed from the program.
It would be nice every now and again to have a comeback of maybe the Snake Pit. I like the Pit. But having a current wrestler go out and do a talk show is not what we need right now.
No, it's not.
Your matches are already too short. You're wasting your time with... I understand you guys do promotions and you do subliminal advertising all the time. Like, I don't know if you watched the pre-show for the pay-per-view. They had cans of Mountain Dew around, you know. And it's things like that, and they're constantly... Like, I was not aware that Sonic delivered inside of arenas. Neat. I'll have to remember that next time I'm at a concert. I'm going to call Sonic up and be like, yeah, I need blah-bitty-blah, bloobity-blue, and Strawberry Sugar Rush. Or whatever, I don't know what they're called. I've only been to Sonic 2 or 3 times in my life. There are none around me. But I've now learned that Sonic delivers if you're at a arena. So that's always good. But I don't really know what to say as far as, I'm not excited to see The Miz face Ambrose. It's like over and over and over again.
Yes, exactly.
Like
Ambrose it's rinse and repeat, and I'm tired of it. Now, we were speaking about sponsors, so maybe we should clue in the fans or the viewers about our sponsor. That is Audible. Now, audibletrial.com/pillar to post will get you a free audio download or audiobook download, as well as a 30-day subscription to Audible. There's over 180,000 different titles to choose from. You can use them on your iPhone MP3 player and any kind of tablet or device that you can take with you. You can use it on. Red Rainer, you also are sponsored by Audible.
I am. I'm sponsored by Audible.com. They have 220,000 books, people. So if you don't have time while you're working out, you could be listening to an audiobook or news, or they also have some radio shows as well on there. So, and you know what I'm really excited for, Pete?
What's that?
This is no joke. I cannot wait for July 8th. Ric Flair and Charlotte Flair have co-authored an audiobook.
Really?
And it comes out July 8th, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
They're going to be talking about, the death of Ric Flair's son, Reed Flair.
Okay.
And they're going to be talking, basically about Charlotte's rise to NXT and up to the main roster. And I think it ends there. I don't think they're talking much about her in the main roster, because I don't think they got clearance from Vince McMahon and creative to do the rest of that. I'd like to see a book where it finishes up her on the main roster as well, up to like maybe her championship.
Yeah.
But, honestly, I'm going to do what you're going to do.
Now, every time you use Audible, that helps out our channels. So make sure you take advantage of the offer we're giving you. You get a free audiobook, so you get something out of it, as well as it helps us on the channel, and it helps Audible out. So just take that into factor. Continue to help out the channel here. We are trying to build a community here.
The other thing too, if you cancel within the first 30 days, you still get to keep your book and you don't have to pay anything.
Exactly.
So audibletrial.com/heavyweight-mark.
As well as Pillar to Post. Same link, just different ending. Now, okay, so what did we have for Raw? We had The Miz versus Dean Ambrose, right?
We had The Miz, Dean Ambrose, the Hardys, Sheamus, and Cesaro.
Yeah.
And they still haven't even started breaking the Hardys.
No. Well, I don't think it's going to ever happen. At this point, I really don't believe it's going to happen.
I think it'll happen SummerSlam at this point, if it happens.
You look at the main event, we had a tag team match. It was the singles match, Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. I thought the match could have been played out better. I thought it... I thought it gave momentum to Roman Reigns since he did come out the victor, but, Extreme Rules, I'm going to be watching because I want to do my review on it and my results show for it. But if I wasn't doing the podcast, I wouldn't be watching it. I wouldn't.
Well, I don't know if everyone here knows this. I live near Baltimore, Maryland, and I've tried everything in my power to get tickets to Extreme Rules, and I haven't really talked to Pete about it, but I cannot. They're sold out.
Which is amazing. Because there's
we're very violent people.
Like, there's a lack of storyline going on.
I don't know if you've ever seen... You can watch riots in Baltimore on the news. We're very violent people. Why wouldn't we want to go to an ECW-style pay-per-view?
But that's the problem. It's not an Extreme Rules. The most they've got is a cage match and a kendo stick on a pole match. That is not hardcore.
Pete, but what I'm saying is the tickets have been sold out for 3 months. They didn't even have the card yet. Of course people are thinking ECW. Like, it's supposed to be one night of ECW, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just don't know, man. I was really excited when Paul Heyman came out before Extreme Rules. I thought he was going to set a bunch of stipulations or something.
Well,
Or, you know,
my thoughts was when he came out is like, my God, Finn Balor needs to have a shower after that fucking, you know, that lustful encounter, because he buttered up Finn Balor to the point where, you know, it's like
well, you
Finn
should.
Balor
If
was
you ever
getting hard over
come
it.
out, you should have seen Finn. Well, before Finn Balor was Finn Balor, when he was the Prince. Um, he came out wearing, it's basically the same face paint, except you know how he has like spiky teeth.
Yeah,
Before he had teeth that came down, they were curved like tusks.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And he'd come out. They'd carry him out in a coffin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Now look up. I think it's Wrestle Kingdom 7 or Wrestle Kingdom 8. Might have even been 6 actually. One of those three. But you should see his entrance. It was. That's why I always said most people grow up wanting to like main event WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
I just want to main event the Tokyo Dome. That's what I always wanted to do.
Now, SmackDown wasn't that much better than Raw, in my opinion. A lot of rehash bullshit once again. But I do want to talk about the Alexa Bliss promo or the life of Bailey. In the life of Bailey.
And two,
Uh,
this is the second time in a month I've brought up the Alexa Bliss is stealing the
no,
Rock.
no, 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 no. It's not her stealing it. It's WWE's creative team rehashing this bullshit because you could tell even Alexa Bliss wasn't comfortable through this segment. It was total bullshit. It sucked the first time The Rock and Mankind did it. It sucked 3 times,
It didn't
if not
suck
5
when the
times.
Rock and Mankind did it. I don't
Well,
know. I was 14. I loved it. Okay.
I, it was garbage the first time around.
It did not suck the first time around. We had Yurple. Yurple's amazing.
Either way,
You know what Yurple is, do you?
either way, it was
It's
bad
like,
to the
wow.
point where even Booker T stated on live television that it was hard to watch. That's how bad this was. And to give Alexa Bliss credit, even though the fans weren't behind it, even though she knew it was crap, she stuck with it. She pulled herself through it. So you got to give her credit for that
Well,
because,
she's from Ohio. Have you ever had food from Ohio? She's used to pulling through.
but all in all, the worst segment ever in WWE right now this year. The worst.
You think so?
Oh hell, it even topped Bailey's bad promos. Jesus Christ.
Like, what the fuck what was the purpose of me watching two people I have no clue who they are kissing for 45 seconds?
Exactly. You know, it was hard to watch. It was extremely hard to watch, and it was extremely hard not to turn the channel.
Did anybody else besides me, have a problem with last week we have Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns, and then this week we have Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins? Does this not seem like 2014 to you guys?
Yeah. Also, you had Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt and Samoa Joe. Now, I was thinking there's going to be a lot more interaction between Bray Wyatt and Samoa Joe. They hardly touched each other. The whole match, there was a couple encounters. I was expecting to see a classic. It did do its job. The match was to put Finn Balor over, make him look good, make him look like he had tons of heart and the endurance and the training to get through a match with a bunch of big guys. But I wanted to see Bray Wyatt go against Samoa Joe a bit. We didn't get any of that.
I give it like I don't know, 1.5 stars total.
I would have given it at least
Just
2.5. Because Finn
Really?
Balor did look good.
Aren't you being generous?
I'm being a little bit generous because it did do the point it was set out to do, and it was to show that how much heart Finn Balor had. It told a story in its own. But
It told a story, but it's not exactly the story I'm looking for.
I wanted more out of it because these guys are heading into the pay-per-view. It should have been violent. You have two very violent people on there, Samoa Joe and Bray Wyatt. And it should have been in your face, and it wasn't. So I give it a max of 2.5.
It's not the Attitude Era, bud. It's not going to happen anymore.
Oh, I know that. It's just, you know, you see two big guys like that in there, and the capabilities that they have to put on a fantastic 5-star match. You expect it.
Yeah. I understand.
Now, SmackDown. What was your thoughts on SmackDown?
I fell asleep during it, and I woke up and rewatched it, and I fell asleep again, and I ended up watching it the next morning.
Now Randy Orton finally cut a new promo. It was not a rehashed, retold promo like he usually does. I did like that. I liked it that he talked more about his heritage, and it wasn't all the same as we get week in, week out from this guy. But all in all, he doesn't know how to really deliver on his promos. You know, that's my big problem. I like the fact that he actually told a different story in his promo, but in the end, it didn't deliver an impact. I want to see him be angry. He lost the title. You know, he should be in the face of Jinder Mahal, and it's not happening. And it's not going to help Jinder Mahal's reign as champion.
I'm a boring wrestler. That's what he should be saying.
Yep.
Oh, honestly, he's never gotten over with me, man. And maybe I'm a little hard for people to get over with, but you know, Triple H has never been over with me until WrestleMania this year. And I know that sounds really... Triple H has just never been over with me. I've always seen him as an ass kisser.
I've never been a Triple H fan, ever.
Well, I am as of WrestleMania this year. Because even though Lemmy's dead and gone, he still has the Motorhead thing on his jacket. I don't know if you noticed or anybody else noticed. But the fact that Lemmy Kilmister's been dead 2 years now, well, year and a half now, and he's still showing that respect, you know, that you don't see anybody else have a Jim, his name, Jimmy Jeffries or Jim Johnson. Jim Johnson. You don't see people having a Jim Johnson, patch or anything on their jacket. I don't even know that he has a logo or anything. But just the fact that he's dead and he's still showing the respect, you know, having Motorhead stuff on still. Like, you know, the cross, you know what I mean? The Iron Cross that Triple H uses.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can hear me too.
Okay, I had to unplug my mic and plug it back in. It said it was not detecting the microphone.
Oh, wow. I was just saying, I don't know if you could hear me or not.
Oh, yeah, I could hear you. It's just...
Okay. Yeah, no, you know the Iron Cross Triple H wears, yes?
Yep, I do.
He uses that because of Motorhead.
Yes, I know.
So...
But, now, I did enjoy NXT this week as well as Lucha Underground. I don't know if you watched Lucha Underground, but I did a review on both shows. NXT, we didn't see Aleister Black. I kind of like that. He doesn't need to be on every single show. Cien Almas lost in a very quick match, and that was because of his ego. And he got pinned by this Bonani character. I can't remember his first name. But he looked like he was furious at first. Started tossing around a chair and shit. Threw the chair in the ring, and then he got in, and it was like Okay, I had my little spat. I'm done. And he was all happy. He was all ready to go partying again. I want to see them build him up the right way. And right now, it's not being done correctly. It is telling a story, but all in all, this guy has got a lot of potential. I don't want to see them put him to the wayside and ruin what is potentially a very good career for this guy.
Well, that's the problem. They're rushing things because they don't know what to do. They keep, noticing that, people are going in and out of wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now,
It's just not happening fast enough for me.
there is a lot of speculation in the wrestling world, a lot of people and a lot of fans talking about this. I want to bring this up to you and I want to ask your thoughts. What are your thoughts? And I want to ask the listeners who will eventually tune into this, and I want you to post in the comments below, what would be your idea of putting in a mid-card title in NXT? Is it deserving? Is it needed?
If you look at it from point of view, we kind of have one right now. Until they get the UK Championship up and running, we kind of have one already.
Well, that's what brings this question on, because once the UK brand starts, we're going to be without one title on there. So then it's back to the tag team titles, the women's title, and the heavyweight championship of NXT. Now, my thoughts, it is needed. I need to see a mid-card title because they are bringing in more wrestlers. They're bringing in guys like Adam Cole, and there's a lot of rumors of other wrestlers coming in.
Oh, baby!
And some of these guys are just not believable as heavyweights. I believe...
The thing is, why do they have to be heavyweights? That's my point. Why can't we just have wrestlers? Why do we have to weigh them? None of the titles say heavyweight anymore.
No. That's not what I mean. That's not. I'm not judging them by class. I'm just saying as a world title or the main championship title. Some of these guys just don't fit. They need a mid-card title for these guys that aren't believable as the top guy in the company to fight over, because I think that would make the show a little bit more interesting. And maybe, just maybe, they extend the show to 2 hours.
From my point of view, Pete, just real quick, if they extend it to 2 hours, and the smart thing for them to do right now, because they've never had one, okay? And this would be firing shots back at New Japan Pro Wrestling. But it would show that they actually want to stand up and compete with somebody, and it might open the eyes of wrestling fans.
Exactly.
If they had the Japanese Championship.
Oh, no, I don't know if I'd want that.
My reason for wanting it is...
I'd want something that would represent all the nations. An international championship type deal. Something that's...
Well, the Intercontinental Championship isn't all over the world. The Intercontinental Championship is North America and South America.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
you
understand
know
that, but I'm talking about a title.
Because originally, when Pat Patterson held the North American Championship,
yeah,
they had a fake tournament in South America, and it was all fake. It wasn't, it was just a work. They just changed the name to the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
So supposedly it's supposed to be the fake South American Championship that never existed. Fighting the North, you know what I mean?
Yes, I do understand. I do understand. No, but it needs to signify something, and a Japanese title, it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem fitting.
I think there's enough Japanese wrestlers in the world. They could have their own Japan, tournament, just like they did with UK.
Yeah.
And it would get over. But the way WWE is going right now, they're going to have a Pakistani title before we have anything else.
No, but in my opinion,
know that, but there's more wrestling fans there than there are here.
My opinion, the mid-card title is needed, But if they bring it in, they're going to need to extend the time from 1 hour to 2 hours to actually give more focus to all the wrestlers on the roster, not just a few every week. And to me, and then let's see how the ratings would look for NXT compared to SmackDown and Raw. Talk about
Well,
burying.
this week's NXT I give 4 stars, man. So I don't know what to say.
Exactly.
It blew Raw and SmackDown out of the water. So
now Lucha Underground. Lucha Underground was done a little bit differently this week. It was the mid-season premiere of Lucha Underground last night, and it was the title match. The World Heavyweight title of Lucha Underground being defended by Johnny Mundo versus the Mac. And it was dubbed All Night Long. So basically it was an hour-long Iron Man match with not very many rules involved in it. Because
wasn't there 7 different matches? I thought it was the best of 7.
No, it was basically an Iron Man match. Whoever at the end of the hour had the most victories would be declared the winner. And it ended with a 3-way tie. I mean, a 3 out of 3 tie. So it was classified as a draw. Now, Cueto came on after the match was over and stated that next week the match would be continued because there is no ties in his temple. So we had a great match last night, or matches, I should say. We had Son of Havoc interfere. We had Johnny Mundo playing the lookalike character with some guy, I can't remember his name offhand. The Mac chased him out of the arena, came back in, got beat up with a kendo stick a bit. We seen, what's her name? Sexy Star dive off the balcony and take out Mundo and his lookalike. It was a very well put together premiere episode of Lucha Underground. I gave it, my top score, and that would have been, since it was just one match throughout the whole show, it would have been a 4-star show. It was probably going to end up being at the top of most people's top match of the year.
You think so?
I think so.
For the year?
Yes. I didn't say the top match. I said it would be in their top matches of the year.
Okay. Because right now my top match of the year is that Pete Dunne match with Tyler Bate.
Yes, a very well put together match. Also, you see Pete Dunne versus Birch on NXT.
Yep, I watched.
Damn, what a striking match. That was a match all about striking. That was very well put together. That's why I love NXT as much as I do.
When they're allowed to actually do things, man. You
Well,
know,
now,
WWE tones everything down a bit.
Now I'm waiting to see what the UK series is going to be all about, because the way these guys are hitting each other in that ring, man, it looks astounding. I definitely want to check out the UK special or whatever it's called.
I think it's just going to be the UK Live or something like that. I don't think they're really giving it a good name, which kind of sucks. They have jammy Dodgers over there, and they're delicious. It's the only thing I can say about England.
Now,
if you know what a Dodger is, it's delicious. It's a little cookie.
Yeah. Now, one thing I didn't like about the ending of Lucha Underground, time was running out. You could see that the Mac was wasting time at the top of the ladder before he did his move and put Johnny Mundo through the table. He went for the pin. Now, it was already coming down for the 3 count, and the time ran out, and then the ref stopped his hand. That is one thing I didn't like. I figured the count was already being made, but I understand why they're doing it and building more suspense. Maybe the Mac wins it next week. Who knows?
Yep.
So how about we move into our fantasy wrestling league little bit we got going.
All right. So I'm going to start Raw in just a second. just going to grab it up here. I did write it all out, and I'm not sure if Pete wants to put it in the description. I've sent it to him.
No, I'm not going to put it in the description. These people need to watch this show in order to find out what's going on.
All right, fine. Well, the show starts off. We have the promo in the beginning showing clips from last week. And we have Vince McMahon firing Mick Foley from being the general manager. He also fires Stephanie. And we have him, Paul Heyman comes out, and he's named the commissioner for Raw. And then show opens up. Paul Heyman's in the middle of the ring, guys. And Paul Heyman says, and I quote, give me 1 second here. I've got 2 pages of content here. It's not going to be a huge amount of time, but Heyman says he's taken back control of Monday Night Raw, and that all this match interruption that's been going on, the interference, is going to stop tonight. He calls out Wolfgang, then the club, who all come down to the ring. Then he calls out Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose music plays twice, and he doesn't come out. Then he says he'll deal with Dean later, since he doesn't want to be a man and come out to the ring. Then he addresses Wolfgang. He says that he will be defending his United Kingdom Championship at Extreme Rules, as well as tonight. Wolfgang will defend his championship tonight in a triple threat match against Hideo Itami and Sheamus, while Trent Seven and Tyler Bate have a ladder match next week to determine the number 1 contender for Extreme Rules. Heyman then moves on to the club. Heyman says he's familiar with their work in Japan, but he's not letting that crap happen here. So, at Extreme Rules, Finn Balor will be defending the World Heavyweight Championship. That's right, folks. Got rid of the Universal title. Had to. Against Shinsuke Nakamura inside of a steel cage. Now, then we have Nakamura's music hitting. He comes to the ring. Nakamura reminds Heyman that it's his choice to challenge, or to choose who he challenges for his title, and he's still undecided. Nakamura goes on about his prestigious career, being a Wrestle Kingdom headliner, then says he has to be careful which title to select and elevate. He calls the World Heavyweight Championship a blank canvas, as no one of historical consequences held the title in quite some time. And then, while referring to the Hardcore Championship as a great ship that lost its way, Heyman then says that you can't run the show the way you want to. I'm the commissioner. I run the show here. This brings out the Hardcore Champion, Cesaro. Now, for the first time since winning the championship at Payback, Cesaro says he takes offense to Shinsuke Nakamura's remarks to the Hardcore Championship. Says that unlike the World Championship, it has a proud heritage, despite being whiny little dweebs like him may have held the title. Now, I'm trying to build Cesaro up here as being, a heel. So that's why he's a whiny little dweeb, basically. Does this make any sense? Are you following all this, Pete?
Yes, I am.
All right.
I am following.
You have any input here?
I'm just letting you go right now, and I will discuss what you've got going on your show after you're done. I actually muted my mic because I had a coughing fit, so...
Gotcha. All right, well, I'm going to keep going then. Nakamura goes on to respond, but is cut off by Finn Balor, who says that Shinsuke Nakamura has talked enough tonight, slaps the microphone out of his hand. Shinsuke turns up to square off with Balor. They all take a step back as Anderson and Gallows stand behind Balor. Balor cuts a promo on Shinsuke Nakamura and on Heyman, saying that the club runs the place and they do what they want, when they want, where they want, and how they want to do it. Heyman tells everyone to shut up and to back up, and then he cuts off their microphones. Heyman responds with, everyone, he is commissioner of Monday Night Raw, and he's in charge here. Heyman says, since Shinsuke and Balor all want to bicker about who's the best, then at Extreme Rules, instead of a cage match, it will be a 2-fall triple threat match, with the first fall deciding the Hardcore Championship and the second fall deciding the World Heavyweight Championship. Shinsuke and Balor try to protest while Cesaro looks at himself smug at the top of the ramp as Heyman heads to the back, completely ignoring Balor and Nakamura. And then that's the end of that segment, folks. And then up next we have a women's division match. Now that match is versus Nia Jax versus Ember Moon. And we have, during this time, we have the King. He's bickering about puppies again, because that's what the King's doing at this point. He says that he can't believe Ember Moon has the puppies she has. And I really don't know why I put this in here, but I wrote this 2 weeks ago, but he says Nia Jax has a couple of pit bulls, and that scares the hell out of him. So in other words, the King isn't really into Nia Jax, but he'll take Ember Moon's puppies. He said they're very cuddly. So during the match, Ember Moon gets no offense, against Nia Jax, who quickly hits a Samoan drop to set up a leg drop. Nia Jax refuses to pin Moon, hits another Samoan drop on the lifeless diva before dropping under the leg on the back of her head and neck. Referee calls a stop it, declaring Nia Jax the winner by KO. Your winner, Nia Jax! And the commentary team talks about how Ruthless Jax has appeared and she's destroyed a former women's champion. Then we have Jack Gallagher with Prince William III, which is his umbrella, versus Enzo with Big Cass. Big Cass is on commentary for the third straight week. Gallagher and Enzo have an even exchange with Cass, playing up Cass's offense as a dominant. And Enzo is lucky and cheap. Shinsuke Nakamura cuts a promo during the match. He's in the back. They show him up on the Titantron talking about Extreme Rules, how it's not fair to have a dual championship match back to back. And, they don't really play much into Gallagher and Enzo. It's not really much filler, but Gallagher attacks Enzo on the outside with Prince William III, which draws Big Cass down from the commentary table. And they cut off from Shinsuke Nakamura because this is more important, what's going on in the match now. This is just, you know what I mean? It's that much more. Enzo jumps off the top rope onto Gallagher. And Gallagher's at the outside at this point. And then Big Cass throws Gallagher back in the ring. Your winner, Enzo Amore. And, of course, this show is in New Jersey. The New Jersey natives celebrate as they walk up the ramp while the King talks about the winning streak they've been on. Next, we have the next segment that comes up. We have Bailey meeting with Mur Ronaldo, who's one of my commentators, but he's interviewing her backstage. Bailey says that.
Oh, come on, do it right. Do it in the voice.
Fine. I should be healing up and ready for Extreme Weeks in 3 weeks, or Extreme Rules in 3 weeks. I'm looking forward to getting revenge on Alicia Fox. You know, during my time at the Performance Center, each and every one of you looked down on me, and now I've become champion, and I may not be the champion anymore, but I still won the championship. Alicia Fox demands princess treatment from all the trainers, while all of us, me, Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky, grind ourselves to the core, trying to be the best we can, and you just tell people what to do. She goes on to talk about her being in the Four Horsewomen. And then Bailey promises to beat Alicia. Okay, fine. Fine. I promise the WWE Universe I will beat Alicia Fox once and for all at Extreme Rules. And then we have a Sonic commercial.
I'm sorry, bro. I had to fuck with you there a little bit.
Oh, man. I did it, though.
Yes,
damn it.
You did.
That means that you have to sound like a woman next week when you're doing your matches.
Can you imagine this voice of mine sound like a woman's? I don't think I can pull off a feminine voice like that.
I don't know. I've seen Steve Austin do it. Have you seen Steve Austin recently, folks? He was on the Edge and Christian show singing theme songs. You got to watch that, Pete.
Yeah, I'm going to have to tune in.
Super funny. Next, we have Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens. Ambrose takes control relatively early before Owens tries to mount the same offense back, but a lunatic lariat takes Owens out. Ambrose then hits Dirty Deeds just before the lights go out again. Dean Ambrose music hits. He comes out with a lantern leading him down to the ring with a spotlight. Because in this, just real quick so I can get where I'm at with you guys, Dean Ambrose, before the draft, was in the Wyatts family, like compound. He was part of the Wyatts. So now he's doing the whole Bray Wyatt gimmick as well. Does that make any sense to you, Pete?
It does, but I guess a little more of a backstory would have to be told maybe in the next episode.
Well, I don't know where to put... I wasn't sure how to start off since we're just starting from scratch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why at the beginning I gave a little bit of backstory about why Paul Heyman is now running the show.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to do a backstory, I guess. I guess I can cut it on my channel. But basically, Dean Ambrose is the Raw equivalent of Bray Wyatt now. So he comes out. There's a spotlight on him as the cell phones light the arena. Stops at the bottom of the ramp. Lets out an evil laugh. Yelling, screaming. And then the lights go out completely again. Ambrose is alone in the ring. And then Dean Ambrose and Dean are just gone, you know, because it's kind of like Dean is a lunatic now, okay? So he's a proper lunatic. Sometimes he thinks he's in the Wyatts, and sometimes he's like playing, you know, he's like the Ambrose lunatic character. Kind of like Finn Balor has the demon, and then we have just Finn Balor, if that makes any sense to you.
Yep.
So Ambrose says that In fact, we don't know what's going on with Dean Ambrose. He thinks that he's two people at the same time. So, he kind of feels like he's Bray Wyatt since he's lost Bray Wyatt. He has like something that snaps in his head. He says he was just coming down to the ring for Dean Ambrose to join his family once again. And he's talking about himself, obviously. But he's so broken at the time that he has no idea what's going on. He doesn't, you know what I mean?
Yep. I'm following.
He's cackling at the and then he calls Dean Ambrose a coward, which he's talking about himself, obviously, but he doesn't realize he's talking about himself. He says, the challenge falls silent as the crowd are lost. King makes a remark, I had an ex-wife like Ambrose once. Crazy as hell, thought she was a cat. Then we have the United Kingdom Championship match between Wolfgang, Hideo Itami, and Sheamus. Hideo and Itami continue their brawl from last week, almost ignoring Wolfgang. Wolfgang intersects with a double drop kick that sends both Hideo Itami and Sheamus to the outside, follows up with a suicide dive, take both men out. Wolfgang starts to target Hideo Itami as Sheamus continues to recover on the outside. Hideo Itami counters Wolfgang and hits a GTS out of nowhere. Sheamus hits the leg drop on Hideo Itami to break up the pinfall attempt. Sheamus and Hideo Itami once again focus on each other as Wolfgang recovers from the GTS. Sheamus hits a brogue kick on Hideo Itami, but only gets a 2 count. Hideo Itami hits a GTS on Sheamus and then sets him up for another go to sleep. Wolfgang breaks up the pinfall attempt with a wicked senton to knock him out of the ring right before pouncing on Sheamus. Like a standing senton, so like a stand-up senton.
Yep.
I can't think what they're called. I think they call it a mushroom stomp in New Japan. In fact, honestly, I've never seen it done in WWE all that often. I mean, maybe Rey Mysterio's done it, but knocks him out of the ring right before pouncing on Sheamus with the crossface, forcing him to submit. Your winner and still United Kingdom champion, Wolfgang Young. Coming back from commercial, Hideo Itami and Sheamus are arguing. Hideo claims he would have won the United Kingdom championship if not for Sheamus' meddling. Sheamus shoves Hideo Itami, and Hideo Itami shoves back. Before the referee and backstage security break it up, Heyman runs over and tells him to knock it off, tells them they can both enter the United Kingdom Championship match next week to try and earn another shot at Wolfgang at Extreme Rules. So, effectively, he's turned it into a 5-way match versus the 3-way that it was. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your main event of the evening, Nia Jax versus Naomi. Now, starts out, Naomi doesn't have a match, doesn't have anyone to fight, but she knows she has a match. Paul Heyman comes out. Paul Heyman says, Naomi, you think that you think that you just run the show because you're the women's champion. You're going to be defending your title tonight against Nia Jax. Then Nia Jax music hits. Naomi's already in the ring. And Nia Jax runs over Naomi in a squash type match. Naomi getting little offense. Naomi gets little more offense than Ember Moon, but just a little bit more than Ember Moon did. Same time, she's still taking early Samoan drops and a series of leg drops. 10 leg drops, people, back to back by Nia Jax. And then she hits her with a Samoan drop before the referee calls for it's about to end. And then Nia Jax rolls up Naomi. 1, 2, 3, ladies and gentlemen, your winner and new Raw Women's Champion, Nia Jax. And that's how my show ends.
Okay. So you had your main event, the women's title on the line.
Yep.
Nia Jax versus Naomi.
Until right before. It's announced, during the commercials and whatnot that we're going to have Naomi for the championship, but it doesn't really say, who's going to be facing her. Okay, so we have two matches during the show.
Let's go through your show from the top. We had Paul Heyman announced as the new general manager of Raw.
Yeah, but that was done the week before. It was like a.
All right, so your first match was Enzo versus
Gallagher.
Okay.
Sorry, my first match is Nia Jax versus Ember Moon.
That's right.
And Nia just rips her to shreds.
See,
followed by Jack Gallagher versus Enzo and Big Cass.
This is why I should have got Ember Moon. You squashed her.
Well, she's going to come back and... you know what? I shouldn't be telling you this. I did squash her, didn't I?
Yeah. You squashed her bad.
My ex-girlfriend's name's Amber. Instead of Ember. So I kind of just... boop. I guess it's subliminally. I didn't want to,
Now, your second match was Enzo and Gallagher, and you had Enzo go over with the victory.
Yep.
Wow.
Hey.
I'm not sure if that's the road I would have gone.
Okay? He went over because it was his hometown. You understand.
Okay, so you're doing the opposite of what WWE would have done.
Yep.
Okay. And then your final match was the main event.
Well, no, I had the United Kingdom Championship match versus.
Forgot about that one. Sorry about that.
It was Tom and Sheamus.
Yeah.
And then Nia Jax and Naomi. And my matches are a bit longer than WWE's. And I've got 2 of the matches already done. They're on my computer. They will be released. They've already been uploaded. They're just not being published till tomorrow at 7 a.m.
Oh, so you did do videos of each match.
But they're in 64 copies. So.
Okay, so that will be up on Heavyweight Mark's channel. Make sure you check out his channel. Make sure you subscribe to his channel as well. And check out the videos that he's doing for...
but more interesting than a Vince Russo pay-per-view. So.
Now, next week, I'll be delivering how I would have run SmackDown. And it's got none of the roster that are currently there. Well, some of them are there now, but all in all, I don't have my book down here with me, so I can't go over my roster like I would have liked to. Actually, you take the show on for a little bit. I'm going to run upstairs, grab my stuff. And
I'll go ahead and start I'm just going to give you guys my roster real quick. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's go for it, man.
You can go grab your book. Now, don't fall down the stairs. You're an old man, Pete. Watch where you're going. Wear your glasses. Make sure you got proper lighting. So, start off. I picked Matt and Jeff Hardy, Sheamus and Cesaro, The Revival, The Fashion Police, and I picked one more tag team. He pulled the Authors of Pain from me, so I grabbed the club, and I'm putting them back in the big club, You might want to say Bullet Club. We have Finn Balor being their, running them again, so they're number 1 with him. He's their number 1. And I also picked Nia Jax, Kurt Angle, Kevin Owens, Rusev, Shinsuke Nakamura, The New Day, which means Xavier Woods, Big E, as well as Kofi Kingston. Now I also have Mojo Rawley, Dean Ambrose, Paige, Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, Ember Moon, and I think that's it. I was going to have RVD, but I threw him out. I do have Noam Dar, but I don't think I'm going to be using him too much as a wrestler, more of a manager. And I have a couple weeks, like a timeline that I have set up. And wrestling, I haven't booked in a long time, like fantasy bookings. I used to do this when I was younger, when I was, 11 to 16, something like that. Probably longer than that. It was probably 19 or 20 before I quit. But I'm very happy to be back into it. I know I'm a little rusty. I've never really read them out loud. Usually I just post them on forums. But, in the end, should be pretty good. I can't wait to see what Pete's going to do. Follow that killer. Wonder if he's back now.
You know what, bro?
Now, what's up?
I got no problems topping what you just did. No problems. Now that isn't just ego and cockiness.
Well, one of us is a professional writer, and one of us is me. So.
But now, the Dungeon Dweller isn't always on par and isn't always ready for what he needs to be doing on the show. But that's why I have a co-host, so I can walk away and let him take the show over while I get my preparation set. That is the way I kind of work, and that's why it's called Shooting from the Hip, because everything is done from the hip. So, to recap, my brand draft, these are the people you can expect to see on SmackDown when it's my fantasy league being spoken of. So we're going to cover the tag teams first of all. We're going to talk about the Authors of Pain, along with Paul Ellering. That is who I drafted first off.
They were stolen from Raw. They were stolen.
What was that?
I said they were stolen from Raw.
No, they were just... You were just outwitted, outclassed when it came to the brand draft.
Well, I don't know about that. I got Tyler Bate, so...
Up next is American Alpha, a tag team that has been underutilized and underappreciated when it comes to WWE. Heavy Machinery. Man, you gotta love this team because they are going to be your next NXT champions. That's why I chose them. The Ascension. Why? Also misused, misdirected, misunderstood, and used improperly on SmackDown. DIY, yes, they are officially split. Am I going to keep them that way? You're going to have to wait and see. And the last team for my tag team division would be the Usos. Now, my singles division, when it comes to the men, it's going to be Aleister Black, which I cunningly drafted my number one draft when it came to my singles wrestlers. Once again, outclassed and outthought. Red Rainer. AJ Styles.
Hey, my number one was Tyler Bate, okay?
AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, Baron Corbin, Bray Wyatt, Bo Dallas. Yes, a man that's been underutilized as well. A lot of potential. And you're going to see how I'm going to end up using this boy. Sami Zayn. And Killian Dane, Drew McIntyre. Curtis Axel, also another one that's been underutilized and underappreciated. Luke Harper, Eric Rowan. James Mitchell was my fantasy pick. He will be used as a manager for the Ascension. Jim Ross and Booker T will be used as the announce team. And my women's division, Lana. Let's see, who's next? Billie Kay. Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Becky Lynch, Nikki Cross, and Sasha Banks. That fills out the SmackDown roster. Now, once I've got the WWE 2K17 game, I am going to be using these members in a video upload every week to put on a show for you guys. Also, there's another series I'm going to be doing with WWE 2K17, and that is using characters you've never heard of before, never even thought of, and they are all people I know very well, and it is going to be a series based on fantasy wrestling. Not going to be anything, or it's not going to be like anything you've seen on YouTube so far with WWE 2K17. And now that I've got the PS4, when 2K18 comes out, well, I'm snatching that sumbitch up right off the shelf. Well, as soon as
you should probably pre-order so you can get the pre-order wrestler.
True. Now, I'm going to give some clues on what's going to happen with the show next week. I'm going to be having all the titles stripped from all competitors. There is not going to be any champions involved. Now, I believe, did we basically state what titles we're going to have on each show? There's going to be a tag, women's, a mid-card, and a heavyweight, right?
Well, I had Hardcore Championship and the UK.
Okay, yeah, you went that way. So what I'm going to do, I'll tell you the titles I'm going to be using next week, besides like what the WWE Championship's going to be, what the mid-card title's going to be. It's self-explanatory, the tag team titles and the women's title. Self-explanatory there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start my show off with a tournament. I'm not going to state which division it's going to be in, but there will be actually 2 tournaments to decide the first champions. And then the following week, we're going to have a something big to, basically start off our mid-card champion as well as our heavyweight champion. So expect that. I'm going to make sure when it comes to the fans, the viewers, deciding who had the number 1 show, I'm not the one eating the Carolina Reaper hot sauce. So there's a punishment if you lose in the rankings when it comes to the viewers' decision on who ran the better fantasy wrestling league. So expect that. Now, is there anything more you want to discuss? Like what's on your mind for this week?
I got into an argument with somebody in a wrestling chat over Impact Wrestling this week.
Oh, really?
I did. They told me that Impact is the best wrestling brand today.
Oh my
and
God.
I kind of giggled and told them it was unwatchable.
Is this guy fucking delusional?
A little bit, I think. A little bit. He's an indie wrestler, and he thinks that, stealing people's gimmicks and not letting them have them, and people come up with their own thing and use it in your federation, they can't use it somewhere else. Why would anybody like an indie wrestler, an actual worker, believe that it's a good idea to work for somebody like that? That means that anything they come up with in their federation, they can't use ever again. They can't use to get themselves over anywhere else.
Exactly. Well, it's not just that. Look at the booking of that show. Look at the wrestlers they currently have. Nothing really stands out. Yeah, they have Alberto El Patron, but in the grand scheme of things, what was he to people in WWE? He wasn't a heavyweight champion consideration. No one ever thought of him as a world champion of any sort. Yet when he was put in that role,
He held WWF, he held the WWE and he held the World Heavyweight.
yes.
But he wasn't that over in America or in Canada. He was over in Mexico and he was over in South America.
And they tried capitalizing on it, but it failed miserably.
I like him, though. Myself, I like him when he's in other federations. Like, I've seen him in Lucha Underground. He did great in Lucha. He's always been good in AAA.
Yeah, but when he's
Uh,
in look at what he's doing now in Impact Wrestling. It's nothing important.
I don't know. I don't follow it because I
Exactly.
find Impact Wrestling to be the most boring thing on the planet.
Like I've tried watching a few times now, and I fall asleep within 10 minutes. Like, and
It's like,
it's like a sleeping pill almost. You know, you turn on the channel and bang, you're asleep.
oh my god, I'm gonna have to try that with my niece. She'll be a year old next month, and well, excuse me, this month. It's June now. She'll be a year old this month, and you know, I can't get her to fall asleep. I'm gonna have to put on Impact Wrestling for her. Other news this week in wrestling, I guess we have Vince Russo's run his mouth to Vince McMahon now. He's actually called Vince McMahon and been like, I just want to extend an olive branch out to you because I think I'm a good writer. And then Vince McMahon hung up on him. So
Well, you
good to
can't
know
blame that.
McMahon thinks too. Well, it's also the way he left WWF. Um, the way he left. Vince was Vince had just come back into the country, and he quit over the phone, and he was less than an hour away from him. If it had been me, and I had been getting paid $1.8 million a year to write, I might go and quit in person because it seems like the right thing to do. You know,
Yeah, it's I don't know, a little bit unbelievable how this guy believes that he would be able to do anything special to bring the ratings up for Raw or SmackDown. The guy did not have the capability to sustain an audience when he was running shit in WCW or in WWE.
we're TNA.
Exactly.
He
So
named them TNA. What the hell is going on? Total nonstop action. That's the dumbest shit I ever heard.
no,
I
I
thought
just
it
don't see it
went
happening.
back the first time I heard it, and then I've been thinking it still. You know, it's just it's unfa. It's I don't know. My show I
I
just
would
booked
love
was
to
better
see
than
them
Vince
bring the
Russo's show.
minds. I would love to see them bring the minds of Jim Cornette and Eric Bischoff back. Now they don't need to be in the spotlight, but as
No,
writers, as bookers, these guys would be able to bring a new era into WWE that we've been waiting for a very long time now. Am I
he's
correct?
still pissed off that Jim Cornette's pissed off still that they've changed Lucio's name to Cesaro.
Yeah. But
I gotta.
can you
I'll be right
imagine?
back, Pete. I'll be right back. Can you run the show for like a minute?
Yeah. Now,
All right.
a lot
I
of you
gotta
guys
grab
might
some.
think I'm thinking too old school by bringing guys like Eric Bischoff back and Jim Cornette. See, there's a reason why I picked Jim Cornette. First, he's got a great mind when it comes to the wrestling world. This guy has done things with the industry that no other person has been able to do. And what I like about him, he's got a mind for wrestling. It isn't all about entertainment with him. We'd get actual wrestling matches back in the industry. And that's what WWE is sorely lacking right now is the wrestling aspect of their business. They're too focused on all the entertainment value and they're not letting their wrestlers go out there and find themselves. Jim Cornette has experience with that. Back in the day, they weren't given that option. Here's a script, read this. It was go out there, this is what we need you to sell it. And they had to learn on the fly. And frankly, that's what's needed right now because there's so many reading scripts. Look at Alexa Bliss's promo this week.
Hey, Pete, are you still there? Pete. I'm not sure where Pete went. Hopefully we're still in the show. I don't hear him. But, I was trying to go get my Jim Cornette. I have a Jim Cornette, a sign that he signed when I went to an event years ago. And I gotta tell you, I love Jim Cornette. Let's see if this is working live. Pete. Let's see if this is working live. Pete. Pete, your mic's gone out again. Let's see if this is working live. You gotta unplug your mic. You can be heard. I was sitting here, I thought something was wrong here.
Now, how long was I out?
What's that?
How long was I out?
Like 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Okay, so it wasn't too bad. Okay, I got that all solved.
I got a sign that's signed by Jim Cornette and Terry Funk, and I wanted to go get it for you. But then I stopped hearing your voice, and I kind of panicked.
Shit. Well, like I was saying,
like,
the reason why I picked guys like Jim Cornette and Eric Bischoff, Cornette's got the mind for booking wrestling matches. Everyone knows this. He's more about the traditional style of wrestling program. So you'd get more of a wrestling-oriented show. And he's got the mind for it. He's got a spectacular mind when it comes to wrestling, and he'd still be able to deliver on the entertainment value. Now, Eric Bischoff, he's able to sync up both at the same time. He's got the mind for the entertainment. He's got the mind for wrestling. That's why I would choose these two guys to come back, book matches, and take over the creative roles in WWE, because clearly the Hollywood scripters that they've got going right now suck balls, and they are not doing any favors when it comes to the ratings. What's your thoughts?
They don't know what they got going on right now. So I don't think they're going to bring anybody in because they don't know what to do.
No, I'm just saying what they should do.
What they should do? Very simple what they should do. They should let Paul Heyman and Jim Cornette run each show. So Paul Heyman should be running SmackDown or Raw, and Jim Cornette should be running the other show. Paul Heyman used to run SmackDown back in 2003, 2004. You know?
Yeah.
And Jim Cornette did the pilot for SmackDown. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I do. I do realize that. They actually had a... they've got on the network Dinner for Three, I think it's called. And
I watched...
They had Jim Cornette, Michael P.S. Hayes, as well as Eric Bischoff on there, and it actually was a pretty good segment with all three of those.
The thing is, they're going to have another one of them too, because they cut 3 hours of content. They were there for 3 hours.
Oh wow!
And they had 20 minutes of it.
Yeah. No.
So I'd love to see the rest of it. Apparently, they talked about a lot of things that McMahon doesn't want out.
Oh,
I don't know if you know that.
It's sad to hear that, but it is WWE.
That's from the horse's mouth. Jim Cornette said it on his podcast, the podcast he did after WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And I think it was on the. I don't think it was on the drive-thru. I think it was on the Jim Cornette Experience. If anybody wants to check that out, it's. I watch it or I listen to it every week, as well as a couple other podcasts. I know you're not a real big podcast guy as far as listening to wrestlers podcast. You're more about reading things, you know.
I read a lot. I do watch Stone Cold's podcast from time to time, and
What?
I'm looking more into Jim Cornette's podcasts. But all in all, I try and deliver what I can with on my show or on my channel that is current and things that people want to know. Some things just because I like, and I find them interesting. Like, there's not too many podcasters that actually talk about interviews that people have done and stuff like that, and I like to do that.
Yeah, true. I realized that Jericho is going to be gone for a while. We have that, you know, he's said it publicly now.
Yeah, but he's been also teasing retirement as well.
Well, I don't know why he's doing anything to me. In all honesty, he is. He's got to have enough money to retire at this point.
Oh, definitely, definitely. That guy's got enough wealth behind him. He can, you know, live the rest of his life in comfort.
You know, it's a big FU. Him being, I don't know if you know this or not. Vince's main reason for making him the first undisputed champion, that was a dig, supposedly, at Eric Bischoff.
Oh, really?
Because he misused Jericho so much to the point he didn't like him as a person either. So, who better than to take the WCW championship and be the last WCW champion?
True. That would be a nice little rib towards Bischoff. Well,
yeah.
Anything else you want to discuss tonight? Because
we're at 2 hours now, just about.
Yeah, we're at 1 hour and 36 minutes.
Oh wow, that's it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did have one more thing to bring up, but I was gonna wait till next week to bring it up because it's not, you know, wrestling news of this era or anything.
Oh, go for
it. I've tweeted about this to Jim Cornette a couple times, and I've gotten no response from him. And I really want to know why there isn't a Smoky Mountain Wrestling documentary like there is WCW or ECW. Smoky Mountain Wrestling was, I think the network could capitalize on having a Smoky Mountain Wrestling documentary that, you know.
Yeah, but does Jim Cornette want to hand over those rights to WWE?
The thing is, he doesn't have a choice. He already sold the video library to them.
Oh, okay.
He sold the video library to him back in, you know, when he came on to WWF after Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Okay. I didn't know that. I really didn't.
Well, I don't know what their deal is at the moment. In my opinion, it's just all around it would make money, and I'd like to see it. You know? That's just me thinking about Jericho and Cornette.
Well, I think we're going to call it a night tonight. I think this is long enough. You know, it was a pretty good show. We actually got to do live stream properly without any fuck-ups. We've been in the green the whole entire show. So that is always a plus. And, yeah, we've only had one viewer come in, but, you know, now that we'll be able to now that we're able to do this on a weekly basis without anything fucking up on us, it should go a lot smoother. People will be able to see that we are being, you know, we have continuity and we're being, well, for a couple of minutes late today, we're going to be on time for the rest of the shows. So,
yep.
We just got to build up their trust, and, you know, we'll be back week in, week out. So, you guys have a good night. Thank you for joining Shooting from the Hip here on Pillar to Post. I'm your host, Pete Wall, my co-host, Red Rayner. And as you can see below our names, you can find us on Twitter at Pillar to Post 77 and at Heavyweight Mark. So you can do that, and all the other crap, it's in the description below. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you know where to find us on social media. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, audibletrial.com/heavyweightmark.
Also, audibletrial.com/pillar to post. Take advantage of those offers, people. It's a free audiobook and 30-day free membership and you can cancel at any time and still keep your free audiobook. Take advantage, help our channels out. Welcome to the community that is Pillar to Post, as well as Heavyweight Mark. This is us signing off. Have a good night and a great weekend. It should be a good one out where I am, so make sure you take advantage of the warm weather, because I definitely will be. So, you guys have a good night. See you in a bit. Red, we'll talk a little bit off screen.
All right.